what we're going to do is we're going to go through, I want you to open up the sales script and you're going to sell me on your program. We're going to record it and then you can rewatch it. And then it's just about doing it and finding out where we can go, we can improve on, where we're really good at. And then what we can 10x and how we can grow. So we don't have to like force feed it out. I just want you to go over it and see, okay, well, if you can sell to me, you can sell to anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, that's the way going forward, and actually realistically putting our hand up and saying, okay, well, what actual areas of the sales are we the less likely to be confident in? And that's where it really starts.
Yeah. Sorry, so I had to move. I had to fucking move inside because the flies were fucking driving me nuts.
No, it's all good, man. All good. You've got I put the scripts in Trello, so they should be there. So just open those up. When you've opened
I've got it in front of me. Yeah.
Yeah, sweet, awesome. So then open those up and then start firing away.
That one there. Okay. But one thing I noticed when I opened it up is it's always question based.
Mm.
So it's always asking a question. It's always creating like a answer based kind of format.
Yeah. So the first script is based on getting as much information out of that person as possible. The second is showing authority. So you'll see the difference in language that we use in the script is that the first one, we're trying to get as much information out of the possible. Is there a husband involved? Is there a wife involved? Is there kids? How much are you spending? What are you doing with that money? What are you doing on the weekends? What's your favorite sports? What can we leverage? How can we throw this back at you for objections and, demands and all these things right now? Because you're using all of this information, because everything should be recorded, everything should be noted, so that if every time they bring something up, you've got an answer to it, right? And realizing that the easiest way to get to a person's true pain point, and which is the only way we fix problems, is by asking questions, right? But asking them in a way that it doesn't feel like you're in an interview. It doesn't feel like you're getting interrogated, but it actually genuinely just feels like a conversation, which is one of the hardest things to do, especially when you're in different time zones, different states of the parts of the world. But yeah, all right. Start when you're ready.
Hey Matt, how are you?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been pretty busy actually. I just been busy with work, getting back into the swing of things in the new decade.
Work?
So I work for myself. It's pretty much just work from my laptop, and I just try and work a normal schedule as much as I can. I've got people in different time zones, so it's quite hard to always get a roll on things, and at the moment it's quite stressful. So, just work for myself.
Have some time off over Christmas.
Yeah, I managed to get just a full week off, which is a big thing for me. But yeah, only a week. What did you say? I didn't hear you because it broke up.
How was your Christmas?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, no, really good. Yourself?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Thank you. It was really good. Spent time with family.
Awesome.
So, I can ask you a question honestly. Have you put any weight on over Christmas?
I haven't looked at the scales. I'm not a very big scales person, so might have put a kilo on here and there.
Okay. Do you? Oh no, I wouldn't have fucking said that in a real call. I wouldn't have fucking said that.
Okay, so my biggest recommendation, and I know this feels weird, but the easiest thing to do is just follow it line by line before you know it, right? So when you're feeling like, okay, I want to try and make this my own, that's completely fine, and you can. But I'm going to pull the script up. The easiest way that I found that I taught myself how to follow my own script was going line for line, right? Because at the end of the day, it literally has a 80% close rate, and that's like over the whole entire time since I created it. Now, like the best part about it is that it is set up so you can go word for word. So like when you're so it goes, you open into questions 5 minutes. So you're going to be like finding out like if they're very, what they did, that was awesome. So finding out, I would ask a few more questions and just, say like, did you spend time with your family? Just little things that you can find out. Write those things down. How many kids they have if they bring it up, what's their names, what's your partner's name, all that. And then start using the names in the conversation, which is another thing as well. I would then leverage yourself, right? So don't start with the weight side of things, because if I was someone that didn't know you or whatever, I'd have been like, well, fuck me, hold up, Jesus Christ, all right, I put fucking kilos on.
But that was one of those things that was in my head. I was like, don't say it. Oh, fuck, said it.
Yeah. So what you would do is you would go, okay, well, if you don't mind, after you'd say after you've answered all those questions, open-ended questions, all that kind of stuff, noted down whatever you need to do. Don't make it obvious you're writing down it either. But you'll be like, okay, cool. So look, if you don't mind, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself. Yeah. And then literally just wait till they answer. Who cares how long it takes? Because if they're not paying attention, they'll pay attention when it goes silent. Right? So you're like, cool, I'm just going to share a little bit about myself, if you don't mind. Yes. Cool. So I've been in the fitness industry for just coming up 5 years, in which in the first 6 months of my personal training business, I was lucky enough to win Up and Coming Personal Trainer of the Year 2016. I followed that up by being a finalist of Personal Trainer of the Year 2017, 18, and my newly formed online coaching company was up for Innovation of the Year 2019. The biggest ambition that I had when I first started just under 5 years ago was not to make money, not to become this big personality or whatever the fitness industry is going in right now, but to actually start caring about individuals for who they are and what they do. Right? I love finding out stories like I'm about to find out yourself, and also the community that I built behind, and what you would have known because you've seen those groups before, the community of amazing women that are in my group right now. I love the fact that I can open up my phone, talk to people all around the world, coach everyone around the world, but most importantly, make a long-lasting impact with people's lives and the way that they see themselves in the mirror. Then you would say, okay, cool. So at the moment, Luke, are you exercising? See how I really just leveraged the point of authority where, I just got my dick out and measured it because I said about my awards. It's not for me, it's for them, right? Then I also brought it back and said, hey, look, the amazing community that you would have gone in, because I know my process, they go into the VIP group before they get on my call. So then we're like, oh yeah, what an amazing VIP group. I met Shelley, and then I can find out if they've actually paid attention in the group, because they'll overtalk me. Then I said about my qualifications and my experience. You can even just the best trainers and the best coaches will always have that like massive story about how they were a drug addict and heroin addict. Do you really think they were actually a drug addict and heroin addict? I don't think so. They just made that shit up because they needed a cool journey.
Yeah.
No fucking way. It's a script. Then you say, okay, and it's a cool transition to leverage the point where I've just talked about myself before you, because you're nervous and intimidated. I took that off and talked about myself, right? So, blank, do you exercise at the moment? Very much it's not an intimidating question. It's not talking about weight. If they're saying they're not exercising, they're probably a little bit overweight, right? They're on the call because they're going to be overweight anyway, so we know they're overweight. Then you say, cool, okay, so how often? And then you're like, okay, 5 times. You'll be like, okay, cool. So when you do exercise, do you exercise in the gym? Do you exercise at home? Do you go to a studio? What kind of exercise, or where do you exercise at the moment? I just exercise at home, and I exercise when I find, or I go for a walk with the dog. Awesome. So would you say walking the dog and having fun, at your house, working out with the kids and the family, is that your favorite way to train? Or do you actually like getting your time away from the kids and the family and the husband? Do you like not getting interrupted every single second when you start exercising at home? Do you like actually going away to to a Pilates studio or a workout studio? Because if they're saying that they're working out at a studio or a gym, you know already that they're paying a subscription. Now, if they tell you that they'd rather work out at home, you can already say, cool, there's already $15 in my pocket, and we're already into like line 3. Right? So you can already know you can leverage that. And you say, okay, cool. So out of everything we just talked about, which part of your exercise do you like the least? Right? And then they're going to give you an example of burpees or press ups or whatever. I hate going to the classes at the gym, and I fucking hate paying for the gym. Awesome. Cool. Note that shit down. Then you're saying, what about your eating? Like, how's your eating? Like, do you go out on the weekends? Do you like to go out with your friends and family? Do you have like date night with your husband or your wife, if it's a male or a female? How often do you go out and have a few drinks? Do you buy your lunch at work? Do you make your own food? Do you cook takeaways? What about takeaways? How many times do you go out in a week for takeaways? Because all I'm asking is seeing how much money you're spending. Oh yeah, I get 2 takeaways. I go out on the weekend. I have a date night. There's your
how I normally kind of manage my calls is I will always kind of talk about myself because it's important that they need to know who I am. But then straight away I'll go into, okay, Paul, this is how it works, rather than ask them questions about them.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't go into how it works because it's not. They don't know enough about you. You would have to spend 2 or 3 weeks on marketing for them to know anything about you. But if you're talking about them, if you're asking those deep and situated examples of gyms, food, all that kind of stuff, I've had people crying by the time I got to psychology because I brought up the fact that they're takeaways. I brought up the fact that they drink. I brought up the fact that they're never at home. I brought up all these things. This is what you need to do. You need to bring out that emotion of everyone. And I mean, the whole thing of your process versus my process, one is not going to be better than the other. It's just about hybriding both of them so you feel the most confident and you're not feeling like you need to force these people or convince these people to sign up. We're not convincing people to sign up here. We're just showing them the insecurities, the problems, and the issues they have and how we can fix that pain, not the information problem. So it's not this is better than the other one, but it's more about, okay, well, which can I mix the both? But again, it's which one have you been? Well, which one has the biggest success rate? And I want to scale you as fast as possible. Take this one. As long as it keeps successing you and it keeps making you money, then you can just bring in new hybrid things, new different questions when you want to. But I would hold off the program and what it involves for as long as possible. Because you want to give as much as possible before you ask for anything in return. And it's only getting worse because we live in a world now that you have a $2 app that can do most of the stuff that we can do, right? So we're fighting against a lot of different things. But again, it's saying, okay, well, if we can find out what they're eating, how they're doing it, and most importantly, how much they're spending, like I can get out of someone within 5 questions, how much their gym membership, how much they're spending on food, how much they're wasting on takeaways, and how much their alcohol bill is. All of those 4 things and 5 things is more than what my program could cost every week.
Yeah.
I know by the time I get to psychology, whether this is going to be a hard sell or a soft sell, because I already know all their finances and I've written it down. It's proof it's done, right? They've told me they can't make that shit up because I'll throw it back in their face when they say they can't afford my program.
Yeah. When they say they can't afford it, you say, well, I've just worked out to spend $120 a week on this shit.
And also the amazing part of it is that actually they wouldn't have realized because it's a microtransaction for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just tap and go. Yeah.
They wouldn't thought about it. They've told you, but they're still not processing it. And we know because we're sitting there. It's the first time we've heard it. Fuck, that's like $150 a week. My program's only like $80 a week. In fact, what I'm going to do is because this person's spending so much money, I'm going to put my price up. Why not? Right? So understand that, okay, well, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're going to get the analogy, oh, I don't eat breakfast and I don't eat lunch. I'm working too hard. Okay, well, I only focus on dinner. Cool. All right. If you were to change your body, would you say you need to change your eating and training? Again, yes sets, right? We're stacking those yes sets. We're saying, yes, you need to change. You need to change both. Question is, are you prepared to do that? They say no, fucking hang up on them. Sorry, mate, you're not ready for go look at my Facebook, go look at my videos, go look at I've said that 2 or 3 times since I've had the script because 1, I don't need the clients, and 2, they're not going to buy my product, so I waste my time. Go back and indulge in my content for another 2 months before you do need my help. And that's some big boy shit there, because if you turn people around, they're going to turn people away. They're going to be like, what do you mean?
Yeah, well, wait, hang on, what the fuck just happened there? Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you've got all the power in the world because you've said no to them when they've got on the call with you. And then you say, one of the things that makes us different, and this is like the selling point to pretty much any program, that is nutrition and training, because every man and his dog is selling a nutrition and training plan, but not everyone is selling what we sell, right? What you sell. But they don't know that because they just assume you're selling everything else the same person. Even if you've told them that numerous times before the call, they're still going to think it's the same, right? Psychology makes it different. So Sarah, tell me about the results you want to achieve. Like, what exactly do you want to achieve right now? And see how I didn't read it like a sentence. I read it like I'm talking to you, but I slowed it down. I used emphasis on the big words. Like, what do you want to achieve right now? Tone's different as well. Okay, cool. Where exactly do you want to lose that? They're going to say, oh, I want to lose my belly fat. I'm like, well, actually, you can't spot reduct anything on your body. However, looking somewhere that you really want to change, where would you put all your energy in to see a difference in your body? I want to find a dress size. You want to bring something up that's relative, but you want to bring something up that isn't physical, because they want to be able to look at that every single time and realize that's the reason why they did or didn't sign up. I want them to say a dress size. I want them to say a wedding coming up. I want them to say something that's coming up that we can leverage apart from their weight, because weight is a very hard thing to leverage, or a body area is a very hard thing to leverage. All right, when do you exactly want to achieve this? Oh, next week. Okay, well, you know your minimum term is probably either 3 months or above. So you really want them to say anything over than 3 months. Because then all of a sudden, a leverage point again. Okay, so why exactly would you want to achieve that? Like, why do you want to lose it? Is it because your husband doesn't look at you the same way? Is it because you're not getting enough sleep? Is it because you want to pick up and play with your kids? I mean, hell, your kids are going to be 18 soon. There's no way you can pick those bastards up. Right? So using those things and using those analogies and using that kind of humor at the same time really de-stresses the environment that's very stressful, but also makes them realize, hey, you've only got a certain amount of years before your kids are out of there. And I would have known that because I've answered the question at the top. Right? All right, so you start again, and then we'll see how we go.
Right. Fucking hell, my fucking throat. Hang on. Hang on.
I just smoked 20 cigarettes before this call.
Oh, shit. Oh, fucking hell. All right. Hey, Matt, how are you today?
Good, man. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. How's your week been?
Yeah, it's been busy. First official week back into work, so just putting all the fires out.
You busy this week?
Yeah, no, it's the first week back at work, so it's putting all the things off, or dealing with all the things I put off before the end of last year. So regretting that decision now, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it's kind of hard taking time off over those Christmas periods. Everything kind of shuts down, but it's got to happen at least once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to share a little bit about myself.
Yeah, no worries.
Cool. So my name's Luke. I've been a personal trainer now for 4 years, but I've been into health and fitness my entire life. I started going to the gym when I was 13, and it just really became kind of like an anchor for me because I was quite insecure as a kid. Started going to the gym with my friends, started getting confidence from people, mostly guys, did it for the women, but that didn't quite work out. And then I joined the army when I was 16. So I kind of had that side of my health and fitness as well, So it wasn't just all kind of bodybuilding. I was running kind of like half marathons every morning for morning PT. So that was kind of fun. So when I was 20, I left the army, and then I moved over to Australia, and that was kind of where I got back into obviously weight training and things like that. Again, felt quite insecure about who I was and how I looked. So I got back into it, and it's just been an anchor for me for the last 5 years.
Awesome.
So that's really made me want to get qualified, because it's just been something that I've studied for the last sort of like 12 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, do you exercise at the moment?
Not at the moment. I usually try and get to the gym at about 2 times a week, but like I said, it's first week back, so it's been a little bit hectic. But yeah, try and shoot for about 2 times a week. So
you were training before in 2019?
Yeah. I've got I try and get into the gym as much as I can, but at the moment, or at that period of time, I could only try and find 2 times.
Yeah, okay. How much do you pay for your gym membership a week?
It's one of those bastard City Fitness memberships. So I think like $10 a week. So 10 New Zealand dollars a week.
2 times a week.
Was that?
And you train about 2 times a week?
Yeah, 2 times a week. Yep.
Do you think you could increase that to achieve? Fuck's sake! I'm going off the script again. All right, reload. All right, what's your favourite way to train?
I love getting in the weights room.
Frozen.
We're good. Oh, hello. Hello. All right, there we are.
Hello?
We're back. We're back.
There we go. We fell over. Fucking reload. Right. Okay. All right. I went off fucking script again. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'll pick up from like obviously the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Matt, do you exercise at the moment?
Yeah, I try and, or not at the moment because I've just got back into work, but I try and always aim for about two sessions a week.
In 2019?
Yeah, so I was going to the gym about, like I said, I try and aim for about 2 times a week. But coming back into 2020, it's a little bit harder to get back into a routine because I've just been slammed with work.
Did you start training in 2019, or has it always kind of been something that?
It's always been something that I've been passionate about and I've wanted to work towards. So it's always something like I always try and set a goal and try and smash it out of the park. So I try and set a goal every year and then try and work towards that.
So which gym do you go to?
City Fitness.
Cool. Yeah, it's only about $7 a week, $10 a week or so, isn't it?
Yeah, about $10 a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're everywhere, so it's good. There's kind of no excuse to find a gym to go to.
Yeah, exactly.
What about your eating?
So yeah, my eating's all right. I mean, it's it could probably be better, as everyone says, probably to you on calls. But yeah, I mean, I just try and have 3 or 4 meals a week, a day, sorry, and then try and jam those with some good carbs, fats, and proteins.
Well, shit, you must be hungry 3 or 4 times a week. Okay. What about the weekends? Do you find that you fall off on the weekends?
I don't necessarily fall off, but I try and go out. So like obviously I try and cook for the family throughout the week. So I tend to try and get out of cooking on the weekends. So we try and go out on the weekends.
Try
as
and
much
relax
as we
a
can.
little bit.
Yeah, try and relax a little bit, get away from the kids.
So if you're kind of good throughout the week and obviously you've kind of let loose on the weekend, there's something that floats around. It's called the 5-2 diet. So 5 days of the week, Monday to Friday, you kind of, at home you cook, you have your own meals, your diet's pretty much good. And on the weekend you kind of relax. So sort of like 80% of the time you are in a deficit, which keeps you on track.
Oh, okay. What's a deficit?
So a deficit is a caloric deficit. So your body needs a certain amount of calories per day to just maintain its body weight. So if we times that by 7 and go on a weekly basis, all of a sudden now we can break it up. So let's say Monday you weren't too hungry, you had, let's say, 1,500 calories, and your maintenance is 2,000 calories. Now, if we average out throughout the week and you go out for burgers and fries on the weekend with the family, then you're averaging out as long as it's a controlled way to average out your calories.
Ah, okay. So you allow me to have burgers then?
Yeah.
Perfect.
That is the most important thing. You can have burgers. So do you think you eat healthy?
I try to. I mean, you only live once, right? So I try and have some fun and then try and eat some greens at the same time. But yeah, I think so overall.
What's lunch and dinner look like?
So I try and have some Nutrigrain in the morning before I shoot to work. Try and have I'll probably have some Subway for lunch and then home cooked meal for dinner with a few snacks here and there.
So do you eat a lot of vegetables or?
I try to. I mean, to be fair, I try and get some greens on the plate. About a handful of greens doesn't really. It's whatever's in the fridge, really. So I don't really have a specific type of vegetable that I have. I just have whatever's in the fridge and cook with that. I don't do the shopping, so.
Do you focus on your protein intake, or is it something that you're not really too concerned about?
I don't really know much about proteins and fats and carbs, so try and stick away from things I don't know too much about.
You just try and eat healthily and.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If you would like to change one thing about your body, what would it be? Would it be eating? Would it be training?
I'd probably say eating.
Why would you say eating?
I think it's one of the hardest things. Well, I think you can stop me if I'm wrong, but I think it's more important to focus on your eating than your training. So I feel like it's something that I'm not on top of, where my training is, okay, I work out twice a week, or I try and go as much as I possibly can. But then I kind of lose it when I go home and I'm trying to search for things that I haven't really got in the fridge, and then I end up going out. And like I said, I go on the weekends and I want to know more about the foods that I could be having and not be having.
Spend going out on the weekend?
What was that, sorry?
How much do you think you spend going out to eat on the weekend?
Depends if I'm paying, but I'd say between 50 to 100.
Where do you think your biggest letdown is with your eating? You say you're eating for a reason. There must be a reason in the back of your head.
I think it's just because I don't have a goal. Like, I just eat for the sake of eating. I don't really have a goal to lose or put on weight. But I just, and that's because I don't know enough about it. So like, I just train and eat as much as I can in the right areas, but I don't really have direction.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you prepared to make changes in your eating habits?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. Yep.
That's definitely something I can help with. So tell me a little bit about your results. What do you want to achieve?
So I just want to try and get down. I think body fat would be quite a cool objective to look for. So maybe just get a few, drop 5 or 10%.
How much do you currently weigh at the moment, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, no, I haven't stepped on a scale for a couple of months.
If you had to take an estimation from the last time you jumped on it?
89, I think, maybe.
Okay, cool. Where exactly would you like to achieve it? Would you want to drop a waist size? Would you want to?
No, I think I'd just like to have my clothes fit a little bit better.
When would you like to achieve it by?
June.
Achieved it by then.
What was that, sorry?
If you didn't achieve it by then?
I probably just feel the same, really. I mean, it's not a big deal if it doesn't happen. If it happens, it happens. But yeah, I'd probably just think it's normal, right? Like, hasn't happened in the past, so I wouldn't be too deflated if it didn't happen again.
How would you feel if you did achieve it by then? How would you feel if I could get you to the point where you want to be?
Oh, it'd be awesome to drop 10%. I mean, be looking better on the beach. Holidays would go better. June would be a better month.
You're going on holiday in June?
No, it's just my birthday. So it's always good to be looking better on your birthday, especially as you get older.
Birthday or?
What's that, sorry?
Are you doing anything for your birthday?
No, not at this point, but I might go away somewhere. So
You should. It's important to have a goal to work towards.
Yeah,
So if you have that vision, if you kind of feeling and looking good on the beach, then it might be good to book a pool party or something to look forward to.
yeah, could be. What did you say?
I thought you were waiting me out then. Was it? So can I ask you a question?
Oh, yeah. I can't even you go silent, and I'm like, I didn't hear anything. Yeah, you
Well,
can. Yeah.
I said that. I said that, and then you were like, "Wait for the pause." So I thought you were waiting me out. I was like, "Fuck, this is awkward."
No, I just
Why is it? Go on.
Oh no, it's just connection wise, it's not the best, so I can't hear some other things.
I'm supposed to get 100 megabytes a fucking second here, but
You can ask me a question though. Yes.
why is it exactly so important for you to achieve it by then? Like, why June? I know you said it's your birthday, but
I mean, it's always good to feel better on your birthday, and it's 6 months away, so it's a good target. It's not like it's tomorrow or the week after, so it gives me some time to work on it.
so if I was to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, how important is this to you?
Probably like a 7.
And wait, hang on. I'm lost in the script here.
So if they don't tell you a 10,
calm?
if they don't say a 10, that's the question you ask them.
Question to go into. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, what's more important than being completely confident, comfortable, happy, healthy in your own skin? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So yeah. What's more important than being happy, comfortable, and confident in your own skin?
Oh, well, if you put it like that, probably nothing.
What does it really mean for you?
It'd been quite a lot. I mean, I don't think I've ever been that low in body fat before, so it'd be kind of a new experience for me.
All right, Matt. Well, if I was to say to you now, if you were to continue doing on the same road that you've been on for, let's say, the last year, do you think you'd be able to achieve that?
No.
To make some changes. Are you prepared to make those changes?
Yep.
And that's pretty much the end of it, isn't it? Book a call, 40, 78 hours.
Yeah, but you'd definitely go over step 4 though.
Give them clarity and unloading. You'll just read that word for word, or
yeah. So you'll be like, oh, okay. So we're very particular who like to choose to work with. So what I'm going to do is ask you. I like connecting a few more times for deciding what's best. So what I'm going to do is ask you to complete what I call a clarity and unloading exercise over the next 24 to 48 hours. What this is going to do is right now you've got a lot of stuff going through your mind, like what to do, when to do, and how to do it. So this afternoon, I'm going to send you a quick video tutorial explaining how to do this clarity and loading exercise. And if you can, we're going to send that over Facebook. But basically what we're going to do is make an action plan for the next 6 months for your outcomes you wish to achieve for your both health, lifestyle, and physical goals. Then place those items that you want to achieve in the spreadsheet and then send that back to me before we have a chat on Facebook. And basically the next steps, and that allows us to see how we can be successful working together. How do you feel about completing that exercise? Okay. Why do you think it's a good idea for you to complete this exercise? Yeah. Right. And then add them on Facebook before you hang up.
So effectively I need to create that video myself.
Yep. Or you don't need to send them it's a 2-minute job. It's like on your iPhone walking around Bali. It's not a big deal. I did mine walking around the gym, I think, at the time. But yeah, I think the only thing, or there's a couple of things that we can work on. There's a lot of things that I was saying, and you'll see this when you rewatch it, between me and you, is that I was saying certain things for you to pry me more and more. So like, I told you that I had Subway. I told you that I had this, and this. Oh, you're having one of the most expensive cereals on the market, right? Like Nutri-Grain, Subway, done, right? There's some areas if you need them. But there's also things like you could just say, oh, you said a 7, but you said it, like I gave you a 7 out of 10 when I just said that I've never been, like I wanted to drop body fat and I wanted to get ready for my birthday. And like, I wanted to do all these things and I gave you a 7. Like, it's not even, it's like 60%, not even 80. Right. So, oh, like, why not a 10? Right. Like, but or when I said it, I'd be like, why'd you just give me a 7? You just said before that you wanted to drop 10% body fat. Do you not want to have a 6-pack on your birthday? Right. Like this comes with time. Like, I'm not expecting you to be that way. And that just may not be a mantra. And you've got to accept that as well and just own it, right? Like, own the way that you do the style, but realize that, every single time, like this one was much better than when we first started. Right. So there's always progressions and there's always going to get better and better and better, but it's literally about following it and then not changing the script completely. Like when you went into proteins, fats and carbs, you're going to lose a lot of people, like off in the wilderness, right? Especially if they're not like, it's very easy for me to sit here and do it because I've got no distractions. But if I've got kids around, or if I'm in a cafe or I'm at work, I don't know what, you just made me feel like I have no idea what I'm doing, right? You did show authority though, which is awesome. And you did show me a lot of the stuff that would be super valuable. But again, it's just understanding the client and the clientele that you're working with. Like me and you know that shit. You've leveraged it, but that could come back in the second call, because the second script is when we talk about the one thing that I could help you achieve. And this is how I can do it. And this is what my program entails. That whole spiel right there would be perfect for explaining what your program is.
Whenever I have to go into stuff like that, it is kind of like I'm thinking in my head, like, fuck, they're not going to have a fucking clue what I'm talking about, but I can't back out now.
No, I know, 100%. And the thing is, like, I put my hand up and say, when I was first starting my script, when I was rewriting it and making it and reading it and doing the sessions, I was doing the same thing. But I didn't have the situation where I could talk to people. I had a business coach at the time, but he was trash. And like, he wouldn't allow me to do what I'm doing with you. So like, what I want to do is make sure that you can get all of that shit out. So when you're sitting down on the call, you've already made those mistakes. My job is to get all those things out in our call, so you're not feeling like it's a wasted lead, because there's no such thing as a wasted lead. But I know what's above what people's heads are going to be like, because I've already done it. Like, all the failures that you're about to experience and you've gone through on these scripts already have been things I've done with live clients. Like, I'm like, hey, here's what's a fats, proteins and carbs. And one I do is like, are you calling me fat? And then like asking their weight, like, that's a cool understanding of how much they are. But if I was a overweight person looking at a person that's in shape, knowing the photos that I've probably seen on your social media and I've seen in your ads, like, it's not supposed to be. And I know where you're coming from, completely 100% agree with where you're coming from, but I know what people are going to not abide by, because if they relate that to a negative experience that they've had with one of their other shitty trainers, because you're the last thing they need. Like, you're the last stop on the train for them. Last chance. This is it. My husband said, I've only got one more chance. This is it. And you're telling me the exact same thing that made me cry last time I was with the trainer. I know you're not going to make me cry, and I know you're not meaning that from your point of view, so do not feel like that's what I'm saying. But they're going to attach that emotion to the same thing.
Yeah.
The same reason why you date girls and you're on fucking Tinder and you're talking to them and all they're talking about is all the daddy issues and fucking problems with their ex-boyfriends. Because they're attaching what you're being nice as a problem with what they've had in the past. I swear everything in business can be related about dating, right? So like, all of the problems and all the issues that clients have had in the past, they were attached to you until you prove them wrong. So in fact, what we think we have to do is give them so much social proof and value and expertise, where actually they just want to talk to you. and they just want you to say it's going to be okay, and I'm going to get your results, and I'm going to dumb down the language for you so you can actually feel like you're the smartest person in the room, not the dumbest. And I'm going to say, okay, well, like and the perfect example of when I said how I didn't feel like I've achieved it, I'm not really phased, I'm not really fussed. I mean, I've failed in the past. Ding, 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 perfect. So you failed in the past. Tell me more about why you think you failed in the past. I had this piece of shit trainer that just never turned up. He was unreliable, blah, 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 right? So like hearing the cue as well, and understanding that if you're taking notes, make sure you're taking notes on the right things. Like if you're asking me how much my weight is and then you're writing it down, it's just, I'm going to get triggered because that was like what my last trainer did, right? So it's understanding, okay, well, maybe we record the conversation, because it's not, you can maybe record them as you start doing them. If you can record the Zoom calls or whatever you want to do for the way you do your calls or whatever you want to do, it's going to be much easier to take notes previous than it is to take specific notes. So just understand that like certain things are going to look a certain way.
Yeah, I noticed that so for one of the first things you said was like try and be discreet when you're taking notes. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. I was just like, sick, now he knows my weight. And you've also got to think about it from a male or female point of view, and this isn't being sexist or anything, but they're going to look in the eyes of like, maybe they're just talking to you because they're like, hey, this I'm attracted to this trainer, so I'm going to go talk to him because he's better than my husband is. Right? I've been there before. I was on a call last night with the same thing. So you've got to understand that your leverage point is going to start from here until proven guilty. So each little nail in the coffin is going to make you go lower and lower and lower. And I'm just going to point out every single nail that I've had to take in the head for my previous experiences.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not criticisms. They're just like, okay, well, this may not work as well as you can still use it. It just may not work as well as if you reworded it to say this, 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 and this. And this is why the script was invented, because I didn't want people to think that I was saying, hey, go out and talk to your clients on calls without actually having something to say, like, tell me more about the results you want to achieve. Like you're going to go off script no matter what. Like it's inevitable. I go off my own script, right? I go on tangent sometimes, but it's the ability to understand when and how to go off the script and why. Like make a big deal over why they didn't say 10 out of 10, because then it actually leeways into saying, it's like, okay, you just told me before, like you wanted to get down to 10% body fat, but it's only a 7 out of 10. I want to ask you a quick question. Like what's truly more important than being completely confident, comfortable, and happy in your own body? Imagine walking down the beach that you're going to have your birthday holiday with because you said you were going to go on holiday somewhere. Now you can go to a beach, walk down the street with your top off and not feel like a blob.
Yeah.
Probably don't blob. See, even I say something wrong, right? You're probably not going to call him a blob, but you see what I'm saying? Like it transitions into 3 different questions, but he didn't actually realize you just asked him 3 questions. Now, I don't expect you to get to that now because that took me a while to get to. But like I was so well tuned with the script that I was like remembering my script in my sleep to the point where I could like remember the way that I was asking questions. So it's like, okay, well, if we read this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, we're going to start getting to the point where like we know when certain things are coming up. So we don't have to like look light over this way or look this way or whatever. And we can kind of say, okay, well, I'm going to try and remember as much as possible in 30 minutes, depending on how the client is. If she's really emotional, he's really emotional, I'm not going to look like I'm taking notes. I'm just going to take the L, or I'm just going to try and remember as much as possible and then write it down afterwards. And don't speed through the questions because remember, you've got half an hour.
Yeah.
Right. So, like talking about, everything else is exceptional. It's really, really good. I mean, this is really the first time you've gone through the script and you're already getting to the point where, you're asking really, really good questions. Like when you said, oh, if you keep doing what you have been doing up until now and that, no, we need to make some changes. That was awesome. That was really, really good. Right. The way that you worded that, the way that the structure was, it was awesome. I was like, fuck, that was sick. Right. So like, and just putting a little bit more emotion into it, which is really hard when you haven't had the calls and the set, all that kind of stuff before. But it's like, if you can use verbal, especially if you're on camera, like my hands are always going. Doesn't matter if they're looking at me or not. I don't care. It's the way that I portray myself and the emotion comes through voice. If you've only got voice as a contact, you have to put that emotion in there. as much as you can. And it is an awkward situation to go on. It is an awkward transition between being what we used to be as face-to-face trainers to being online. That's the major difference. It's how much emotion we can put in the call and say, this is your last opportunity to make a change. This is the last stop on the road. But I'm not going to be like all the other trainers. I'm not going to be the trainer that asks your weight. I'm not going to be the trainer that asks your measurements. I'm not going to be the trainer to make you take progress photos. But I will be the trainer that makes you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, because I'm going to teach you what a carbohydrate, fat, and protein is. I'm going to teach you how many calories you are. And most importantly, I'm going to teach you what a calorie deficit is. But you don't have to come up with that. That's my job. But anyway, and then if you say, well, but anyway, and then you stem back into the questions, you give them a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of like, okay, this is the authority that I'm showing. But actually, let's go back onto the questions that I want to ask you, because you don't need to know that stuff right now. I'm gonna leave that for a little while. I'm just gonna let you have a little bit of a taste, and then come back to me. Because if you show all your tricks at once, like if you told me all of that, I would have been in my head automatically, and I wasn't even the client. I was like, sick, I don't need you now. You just told me what a carb, fat, and protein is and what a deficit is. That's all I need to know. Because I'm thinking about money. Not me, but the client that's in my position. Like, but you just told me what a carb, fat, and protein was, and you just told me what a deficit was, and you told me what a 5 and 2 diet is. Right. And I know my coaching mind would be like, actually, I just told you that because if I can tell you that for free, imagine what my program is. But the clientele in which are on the call, not necessarily going to think that way, especially if they're not the ones paying for the program. They're going to try and get as much out of you as possible. And some people will just take the call to try and get as much out of you as possible, which is fine. No big deal. But it's about saying, okay, well, when's the right time to tell people? When's not the right time to tell people? It's just a mixture of all that kind of stuff, and you'll get used to it. But that was a really, really good first attempt, like really good. Like most of the how bit was really cool, but don't just skip through the when, where, when, and why. Just really use pauses, use language, all that kind of stuff. You've got it in there. It's just about like, yeah, I've got a reason to let it out now. And you skipped psychology as well. So you went from, are you prepared to do that? And you said, tell me more about the results.
That's fucking scary.
That's all right. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. But the whole entire reason why psychology is right there is because, me asking you, are you prepared to do that? And then going straight into results. It's a big kind of emotional drain. Where if I talk about psychology, I'm no longer talking about nutrition and training and your body image. I'm talking about what's up in here. And 9 times out of 10, we know the problem is in here, not in here. So again, it's leveraging you. It's giving you some time to differentiate the call, but it's actually also leveraging your time to make sure that's possible as well. Right? So
I need to read this and study it.
But yeah, and the thing is, I would just like you do with exam notes, these are just exam notes. The more you learn them, the more you feel natural and the more you can remember them in the test. But don't expect to pass the test the first time. You're going to make mistakes. There's going to be things there. It doesn't mean that person's going to think anything of you, because you can, with being online, you can put a lot of the things down to like connection and whatever, right? Like I've had numerous scenarios where people haven't heard me and I'm like, oh, it just must be one of those bad days connection wise again. I'm sorry about that, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Because they don't know this might be your first ever call, or they don't know this is the single digit call, right? They just expect you've been on hundreds. They don't know until you tell them.
Yeah.
Right.
True. So if I do fuck up, just be like, oh, fuck, sorry, the connection's bad my end. Or, yeah.
Yeah, just put it down to something that isn't you.
Yeah.
And then in the second script, which we can a little bit touch on today and then follow up with for next week as well, is that just comes into everything that we just talked about now, but it shows you more of the leverage of what you can offer. So it's like one of the key parts of it is saying, if you were to say what your top 3 health and lifestyle outcomes were, and you were just to pick one of them, one thing that I could help you achieve, just one of them, and myself help you achieve in the next 6 months, what would that thing be? Now, that's probably going to be different to what they said in the first one, because between now and then, they've done the clarity unloading exercise. They've had some time to think. But most importantly, that's where you say, okay, well, you mentioned in the first call, you said you wanted to get down to 10% body fat. You said you wanted to know more about carbs, fats, and proteins. Would that be like one of the biggest things? Because that actually leverages and says, hey, I'm actually getting more for my dollar because you're teaching me rather than telling me. Right? So that's why I try and give you a little bit of a mixture of tell you what to do, but most importantly, give you as much teaching opportunities as possible. And saying, hey, over my experience, because that's all I have, right? This is what's got me to where I am now. This is what's worked. This is what hasn't worked. And I've done hundreds of calls before. So it's just about
picking me up where I fall down.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like if you hit a dog too many times, it's not going to come back. So there's no point hammering down the knowledge that they don't know if all they want you to do is bring them up. Because 90% of your clients won't pay you for the information in your head. They'll pay you for who you are.
Yeah.
Because 90% of the time, they won't get enough information out of you because it'll take too long. Like they'll be there for like 5 years because you know so much. So it's about understanding what they need to hear now versus what they want to hear when you're on the program.
So one thing that I kind of took away from this is it's very much like getting clarity on what they want from it.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah.
But it's leveraging how much money and what they're doing that you can leverage against them when if they come up against the fact that they can't afford your program. No one can, I would never be able to come to you and say, it's a little bit too much though, because, I just can't afford it at this time. And you're like, well, you spend $50 to $100 on the weekend. Do you really need those nights out, or are you ready to get started? Right. So like across all three of my businesses, I use the same script. I just change it to be situated in each company. Whether it's a marketing meeting or it's a marketing call or it's a sales call or it's a PT call, well, this script works across all platforms. I used it last night. It wasn't even to do with anything with PT. It's a program that I hadn't even sold before and I haven't even created it yet. It was $1,000 sale. I just use the same script because it's the same process. You just change the words just a little bit. But again, it's
all about sparking emotion.
It's just getting as much emotion out as possible, like as much as possible, more than you probably need. Like when you fill your car up, do you fill it up to full or do you fill it up to just how much you need? I just fill it up to full in case I go somewhere else I didn't predict. So I get as much information out as possible. Even if they don't object to my price, I still want to have that information because they may object to my price in my coaching program. They may say, oh, sorry, mate, I can't afford it anymore. I'm like, you can afford it, mate, because you told me you was fucking spending $100 on alcohol. That hasn't changed. I saw your Instagram stories, you bastard.
Yeah.
Right? So it's about leveraging that side of things and saying, hey, this is what I want to focus on, and realize that the only reason they wouldn't sign up is because we didn't convince them enough. That's the only reason why they don't sign up to a program. It's because we didn't convince them enough in either of the calls to sign up to our program. Our program is not expensive. It's ready to make results, and every single person wants to be on it. It's our job to convince those people to be on it. But we do that in different ways. We don't convince them on the call. We convince them through our marketing and create desire to be one of those lucky people that are on your program. Right? So I guarantee you by the time we do our next call, you'll master that first one. We move on to the second one. It's pretty much the same apart from a few questions, and then you're good to go. Easy peasy.
I'm going to read through this a couple of times.
Yeah, and just whoever's around you in Bali, just test them. Test them.
Yeah, I was thinking I was going to get Kieran to sit down and stuff.
Yeah, and even if
like,
you know
one thing that I think I need to learn is like the reference points that I need to pay attention to. Like for instance, I skipped past psychology because I was like, oh fuck, like boom, I need to ask the next question.
Yeah, and you will feel like that. You'll feel like this is this race and this is like, oh, I have to make it perfect. You don't. It's just there for reference. Every single part of this consult screening sheet is there for reference. But you can see the length of it. It's 3 pages. Like it's a fucking lengthy consult. You don't have to worry about being overtime, undertime, whatever. This is If you do it word for line, it's 30 minutes.
Yeah.
With a few like conversational points in between. So you're guaranteed to be the time of the call. So you're not having to rush to finish their time. You're not under any pressure. They're lucky to be on the call with you. Don't feel like you have to rush through it because of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just drawing up the biggest amount, because when you put your prices up, when you start bringing people on that are wealthy and all these other things, like when you bring investors into your company and all this kind of stuff, how do you think you're going to sell them this consult? Right? So understanding that point of view and understanding that reference and realizing that like all of the reasons why I've had success in what my sales have been is due to this consult process. And I've just it's in my head. Like if you could open my head up right now, there would be an evergreen like hamster wheel of this exact script going around in my head.
Yeah.
I've just read it that many times. I've just come up with it, read it. Like I read it on planes. I read it whenever I can. I just keep going over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And the biggest win from this thing, as I can tell you, is that the more emotion you pour into it, you sound dramatic, you sound over the top, but to them you don't, because it's the first time they've ever heard you talk. I have a consult for business tonight, and I will use the same consult process. And I guarantee you he'll sign up because I'll get so much emotion out of him. He's already told me he can't afford it. And that's bullshit. Because being able to afford something and not afford something is just up to how you believe in the product. And it's our job to make them fully believe in this product like they believe in their family. So if you take yourself out of it, it's like they're losing a family member. That's how much emotion you need to get out of there. And the easiest way to do that is realize where the reference points are. Do they have trouble coming to their partner with things? Do they have trouble dealing with the kids? Do they have trouble having time for themselves? Like I said, if you can find out if they love going to the gym because of, why do you love going to the gym? Is it because, and then answer the question for them sometimes. Is it because you want to get away from the family, for an hour every day? And she's like, yeah, actually, that's a really good point. I didn't really think about it like that, but I actually do that. Bing, bing, bing. Right? So it's like, cool, awesome. I've got this point where I can be the reference point to be her trainer while she's being her own time. Right? Use as much as possible. But again, that just comes with time. But again, another reference point, and the reason why it's so cool is that I'm recording this, put this on YouTube, and you can just rewatch it as many times as possible. Because you can see the points in which I'm like, and then you'll realize where you went wrong. I don't even have to say anything. You can rewatch it and you'll find out the areas. And I wouldn't even say they went wrong. It's more about, okay, well, cool. I could definitely put more emphasis on this. I could definitely add this, and this into it. And I can definitely do this, and this into it, right? And just understanding, there's going to be connection problems. Like sometimes you talk and I can't even hear you, where that's probably going to happen. Being in the country you are doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Doesn't mean it's going to go wrong. Doesn't mean anything. No big deal at all. It's not a problem. And then, like you said, at the end of it, when you sell your product, the price is going to be whatever you want the price to be. Because by that point in time, they're going to be like, I'll pay you literally, give me a number and I'll pay you it. Easy. Just like I give them all my money to ClickFunnels, because ClickFunnels is fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, I signed up to ClickFunnels too early.
Yeah, like if I'm going to do something called I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but it's literally going to be a webinar where I take you through an hour of how to build funnels from like a starting point, a midpoint, and like an experience point. Like not new, I'm going to teach everyone that's on the webinar, but there's things like that like just blows my mind. Like there's things that are so much better than what Ads Manager do. Like literally the way that you can have a system that if they land on your page, they tag that person and it follows them around the whole entire point, where like I run systems on my ClickFunnels that tells me specific people will get triggered specific emails based on how many followers they have on their business page, how many likes they have on Instagram, how many followers they have on Instagram, how many, it tells me if they landed on the page like audiences do on Facebook Manager, but it's a lot more in depth. And there's like follow-up funnels. There's like so many different things that are so much better than email marketing. You know, and
Ads Manager is pissing me off. Mate, I got an email from PayPal today, right, saying that they'd tried to take another $415. Like another $400, right? Bearing in mind my account hasn't been active for 2 weeks because it's been deactivated.
Yeah.
Because I put a request in to get money back because they fucking took money that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they've done it again. So in a week, they've taken nearly $900.
It's crazy.
And I haven't fucking used anything.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I was sitting there this morning like, what the fuck, like stressing out. And that's why I'm kind of like, to the guy that I've hired to do my Facebook ads, I'm like, come on, fucking, like, pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing. Like, I guarantee you it's almost harder to have people in your team than it's to be by yourself. Like, you know how much harder it is to be by yourself, right? Like, to do everything yourself. But when you start hiring people, it's so much harder. Like, I have 2 editors that edit literally 20 hours each. So I have them for 40 hours a week. And I'm like, okay, cool. So when are the videos going to be done? Like, what's the time frames? And now that I've got the time frames, it's fine. But the old me would have been like, fucking like left, right, and center, being like, tell me when this is going to happen. But I know that I'm like, they're doing as fast as they can. They're making high quality videos. They're filming, they're editing at the highest quality they can possibly hit it. It just takes a shit ton to edit a video these days. Like, with how many stuff I have. I have mics attached to me now. I have different lenses. I have different shots, different angles, like all that kind of shit. And he's got probably like 5 or 6 different accounts. So it's always going to be an uphill battle when you experience your team. But this is why you can just vent to me, right? All the frustrations, all the questions. Like I said, you've been quiet. I know you've been traveling. I know you've been sick. But this is when the fucking frustrations comes out. Because if you can't talk to me about it, it's just going to eat you inside, right? It's going to eat you up inside. That's not the idea. The idea is me and you to work together. Because I've already been there. I've already been taking over teams. I've still got shit to deal with. I always have shit to deal with.
You see, it before it was like, okay, cool, like Facebook ads, and that's what I'm doing. And then I was obviously like consulting you so much on that, and I was, you know,
for sure, yeah.
And then, but now obviously something else has kind of like entered that I have to try and get used to and manage it. Like I just didn't connect the dots to go boom, like, okay, cool, I need to communicate that.
But it's also because you've been in the field of being like the top of what you've been doing, like being a personal trainer, you're doing really well, and then online coaching and you're doing well, and then all these things. And it's always hard to ask for help and reach out, because it's like, you don't want to feel to yourself that you're letting yourself down, but it's not. It's about, if you ask me 2 or 3 questions, those 2 or 3 questions could make you 10, 20,000 more dollars. You know, this script will make you 6 figures by itself. If you get put in front of enough people and you give yourself enough consults, you will sell 80% of those. And given the type of your program, let's say you had 20 consults every week and you sold 80% of them times 52, that's going to be your wage, because it is literally a minimum of 80% conversion. Because people can't argue with a script. And this is why it's so amazing, is because you can't argue with it, because I've already asked you it. Like, I literally asked you.
It calls you on your bullshit.
Yeah, it calls themselves on their bullshit, because they just literally can't. I've had people say, oh yeah, like, I had argument points, but I can't argue because you've already told me them. And I have an objection script as well, which means that even if they do object, I've got a whole entire script you can follow to answer those. It's like, it's nuts, man. It's just like, I could, like, in fact, I am selling this script later on, but like, I've had this script for nearly 2 years and I haven't sold it, apart from the people that I've worked with, and I've given it to people if they've needed it. But like, it is literally one of the best things produced, hands down. Because you follow it, whatever industry you're in. You could be a car salesman and you could use a script.
See, so, I just need some like on-call experience.
Yeah, it's literally about
like I like to jump into shit and like make my own mistakes and fail, and you know, and then I'm like, oh, like for instance, when I was like what did I say when we first started going? I was like, fuck, I would never say that in a real call.
Yeah.
You know, like I like those moments because it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but let's say do some math just from your numerical point of view. If it costs you, let's say a high end, let's say it costs you $5 a lead, $5 a book call. So it's $100 a week on just book. It's costing you $100 a week just to get those calls booked. If you converted 80% of those, you're getting back $80. But for every mistake in the real world, it's costing you. And that's going to add up if it's not converting, right? Which you will. But like I said, it's all well and good jumping in and getting all of that stuff out of the way and doing all that stuff only if it makes financial sense to.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, okay, well, yeah, I understand that because I'm the same. But when you're paying those things and you're realizing that, like, if you got 100 leads, 20 people will book, but only 8 will show up to the second call, that means you'll sign 2 or 3. Right. And that's really, really good. That's a good number, because if you can get 2 or 3 people coming into your business, the only thing is different is that you just scale your system. So you get more and more and more. So you get 300 leads, which means you get 9 people signing up a week. But once you've got the system in place, you can scale. Like I said, once we pour the concrete the right way, everything else becomes very, very easy. But if you do it the other way around, it just puts you under a lot of stress and it makes you feel the opposite in which it should. Right? Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The only thing realistically is the only thing we need to do is learn the shit out of this. Look at the second script, like look at the second week script, have a look over that as well. And then next week it's like, okay, well, now that we've learned how to do this, we can go over it one more time. Then I think you're going to be ready. By the time next week comes, I feel like you're going to be ready anyway, but we can touch base. And then it's about, okay, how do we get you in as many calls as possible? Now, the easiest way to do that is do like free upon completion challenges, do like all these things that like are not really your end goal, but you can be working on the side and working on the same time as your ads doing as well. The reason I say that is because if you can get 50 or 20 people signed up, first of all, you're going to get their money because you can convert them at the end. But also, you've got 20 sales calls you didn't have before.
See, I had a thought to get everybody on a 2-week free trial.
Yep. In terms of, so they get them on a 2-week free trial. Have you offered that in the past? No.
So
okay.
So what that I had a thought of doing 2 ads. Mm-hmm. One was just obviously like a checkout link, like a clickable link for people that are like, oh, boom, yeah, I want to sign up. And then the second one was, I don't know, we'll call it split test, with a video, you know, boom, hey, blah, 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 sign up. And then I wanted to do another one, which was sign up as a free trial, just to kind of see which one was working better. But, yep. I've got to fucking wait for this dude to get his act together.
Bro, so, half my life is waiting. Half my life is waiting for other people to do work. Like I'm waiting for my editor guy to finish my video so I can publish it tonight.
like what you would have already had done by now, you're fucking waiting on.
Not necessarily. Like the thing is, even if I have to wait, it's still waiting in between 4 calls that I would have had to do anyway. So I wouldn't have had a video done. Because one video for him takes about 3 hours to edit. So for one video you see on my social media from my consulting, it takes about 3 hours to edit. So that's to get subtitled, filmed, edited, published, 5 videos. So I make 5 videos off one video though. So that's why I can wait 3 hours, because I've got 5 videos from that. So I've got 5 pieces of content plus a quote. But that's cool. All right, man. I've got to jump into another call. But I will talk to you normal time next week. And then we will go over the next script, and then we'll go over making a plan of how to really get in front of as many people as possible. Because it's still probably going to be the same conversation. You're still probably going to be annoyed at your ads guy, but that's not the problem. We don't have to worry about that. You can't control it. Can't fly back to Sydney and punch him in the face. We'll just work towards it and get you in front of as many people as possible, as many ways that I know how. Cool.
All right, mate.
Sweet. And then again, this will be uploaded on YouTube. Let me know if you can't find the link, and then I'll send it to you. Cool, bro. All right. Talk soon.
All right, mate. See ya.
See ya.
Bye.